Hi everyone, I am Anna V, also known to most of you as Balance by Anna, and I am a psychologist specialized in emotional and binge eating. I help people and emotional binge eating through my program called the Balance Program and my 3 key pillars, which are end of dieting, focusing on triggers, and changing the mindset around food. The Balance Program has been in the making for 8 years, and it has elements of my therapeutical work with my therapist. I have realized what were the key pillars that have changed my relationship with food and my body. And I also knew that besides those 3 pillars, I wanted to incorporate some other topics as well, such as childhood or body image or socializing and eating, so on and so forth. But it all comes from my personal experience and realizing what works and what doesn't work. And then I just had to test it out and to see if people will resonate the way I did. Luckily they did, but it took me over 8 years to finalize the whole process and the tasking that goes behind it, because every single thing I teach has to have a behavior around it that needs to change. Which means if I tell you we're going to practice hunger, I'm going to tell you how to practice hunger on a hunger scale. If we practice satiety, I'm going to tell you how we practice satiety. If I tell you making balanced meals or socializing, there is always a practice around it, because we are trying through the program together for you to change certain behaviors and certain thoughts. And in order to do that, you need to practice it all the time. That's why the program is both, there is theory behind it, but there is a lot of tasks and like the actual work in everyday life. Practical element is very important. You cannot just read about hunger cues. You need to actually ask yourself the question, am I feeling hungry? Am I? Anna asked me, do you feel hungry? Do you have these symptoms? If not, there's something else going on. What is going on? Things like that. Like you need to be into it. And you have the opportunity to do this thing 3-4 times per day, whenever you want to eat. And every time in between when you feel like you're hungry, but actually something else is going on. This program is for, and I always say this with a lot of compassion, but it's for people who are actually willing to do the work. It's not a self-help book that you can just read through it. You have to actually do the work. Of course, people have tried different things, and I am never against them saying, do you mind if I try this as well? Of course not. I want them to follow the program and the tasking, to show up on the calls, ask the questions, do the work, but be also willing to put some time and some effort into changing their ways, their eating habits, their distorted thoughts that have accumulated for decades. So there is a lot of rewiring there that has to happen, and it automatically means you're willing to do the work. I will support you, but I cannot just support you without the work behind it. So that's the only thing I expect. It's never a linear trajectory, because there are ups and downs. Like in every recovery, they are a normal part of recovery. I'm there to pick you up and we move on together, but you have to be willing to participate and give your all in order to cure from binge eating. So during the discovery call, we have to do first the assessment, where the person is in their journey, what are their goals, what they have done, and then I tell them what does it entail. It's a 6-phase program, 3 main pillars, and the pillars are the dieting, the triggers, and the mindset. Once they have done the call and once they join the program, they get automatically access to the program. They start listening to the modules, they start doing the task and coming to the calls. The first, and I would even say the key pillar that we need to start off when you start the Balance Program and you want to end binge eating, is that you need to stop dieting, because whatever you have done so far in terms of dieting led to more binging. So it would be insanity to do it all over again. So my approach is that when you stop dieting, it means that we need to go to more intuitive eating. What does that mean? That means a couple of things. It means we focus on a hunger scale to be hungry when we want to eat and stop when we're full. It means that we need to make more balanced meals. Stop cutting food groups, stop cutting your favorite foods, and making meals sustainable in a way that even if you want to lose weight and you want to be in a caloric deficit, you can still incorporate your favorite foods rather than focusing on everything you need to cut out from your diet, because that's just like a miserable life, like cutting all the things you enjoy eating and drinking. So my approach is that We don't want to diet, because diet is something which is a temporary solution. It's something that doesn't give you control. It's something that keeps you restricted, bored, irritated with your life and your food. We want to create a world where you can have your chocolate and you can have, night out with your friends, and you can have your favorite foods, even if you're trying to control your caloric intake to some extent. The second pillar of the balance program is understanding what triggers you to binge. There is always something that happens in your life that triggers the urge to get relief. So it can be anything from comments from other people, photos, images that you see, habits, stress, boredom, anxiety, loneliness, anything can be a trigger for a binge. And our job is to identify the list of various triggers together that you can be aware that they might be some of those that trigger you, which then helps you to navigate a little bit better when the urge happens, when you understand that there is a trigger, how to behave differently. Together we do a 4-step process when triggers happen, that we need to accept them, contextualize them, like where are they happening, how are you feeling, and what can you do differently. We are basically rewiring the brain to act in a different way when a trigger happens. But in order to do that, we first of all need to assess and know the triggers, and then we can work through it. How can you respond differently instead of going to the pantry or your fridge? The third pillar of the balance program is the mindset around food. And what I mean by that is that if you come from the dieting culture, you are very likely inclined to think about foods and your relationship with food in terms of being on a diet or not being on a diet, and eating clean or not eating clean. And you're labeling foods as good or bad, but you're also labeling yourself. And that always leads to more binging, because if you have something which is like a cookie that shouldn't be on a diet plan, you will eat a whole bag because the day is ruined, because you're thinking in the all or nothing terms. And our job together is to identify different types of distorted thoughts that could be enabling the binge. For example, you predicting the future, I will never lose weight, can lead to a binge. You saying, for example, I ate a cookie, therefore I need to eat the whole bag. It's the all or nothing mentality. You saying, for example, that I will never lose weight. You will behave as a person who will never lose weight. If you say things, for example, this is so hard, I have tried everything, I'm a lost cause, no one can help me, nothing has ever helped me. These kind of thoughts about yourself and about food is what we need to assess, see where they're coming from, change them, rewire them, so that you can have a better outlook when it comes to food, but also your thinking. How of a person are you when you eat certain foods? You have tried so many different things. They haven't worked, and there is a reason why they haven't worked. Because you have been trying the same thing, same dieting approach, just from different angles. You haven't gone to the root cause of why you use food the way you do, or why do you have the need to binge, or why your relationship with food is distorted. I am trying to help you here to unravel, like, what is it that has made you have such a relationship with food? If you go to the root cause, the binging will stop. If you fix the root cause, if you fix your mindset, your triggers, your emotions, you will not binge anymore. And if you don't binge, then as a consequence, a lot of things will happen for you, obviously. Like your quality of life changes, your weight loss will happen if that's what you're aiming at. That's like the byproduct. But I would say that if someone is not sure, it means that on some level there is a fear of, will this work for me? Like, will I be able to go that deep? You can. You have been just pushing these things on the side and using food to cope, but it's there. It's just that someone needs to guide you a little bit to bring it up to the surface and talk about it and discuss those things. I pride myself being a coach that is very much in touch with what my clients are doing. What I mean by that, I never leave them alone for too long. If they don't call me within 2 days, I am texting them. Where are you? What's going on? What's happening? Because I think that they have a tendency to, when things are a little bit tough, to skip a call, or they just want to hide a little bit and then come back to me when they are feeling better. But that's not how we work. What we need to understand is, like, the reason why you're hiding is because something is going on, and then there is a risk of binging. So there is a bit of an element of firmness and discipline and tough love, but there is also quite a bit of empathy and compassion from my side. And that's why I think I care for my clients. I'm not letting them do things on their own. I'm not letting them leave like that, and be on their own, or trying to figure out ways without telling me. So I am a lot of the times in touch with them on my own initiative. Because as I said, like, the journey is not always linear. So they will have great moments, but when they start slipping, they don't want to be in contact. Because there is some shame and embarrassment and like feeling, oh, I cannot actually do this. My job is to locate them. Where are you in your journey? What's going on? What happened? And then kind of bring them back to the program. I think what makes the Balance program more relatable to people, or why it stands out maybe from different programs, is that, first of all, the person working with you, which is me, has been through all of that. So I know for a fact how you feel. I know what are your thoughts about your body, about food, the struggles you're going through. So for me personally, I want people to understand that I can, first of all, relate to them. I'm not talking from a book. I'm talking from personal experience, and this program has been made based off of my personal experience. Second thing, besides a lot of people who have been through the program and who have had fantastic results, in less than 6 months when they really put the work into it, I think that the program has a bit of a larger picture rather than just food. Most programs focus a lot on the food, and I want to focus on the emotions. I want to focus on the mindset. I want to focus on your childhood and your body image. It's a bit of a holistic approach because they're all interconnected into how you eat and how you use or abuse food. It's not just the food that we're trying to fix, but your whole kind of aspect of life. So in that sense, it's a bit broader from someone who has lived it.